Imagine you're walking your dog. Now imagine your dog is 5'7", has wings, and is a fire-breathing reptile. You don't have a dog, that's a Charizard. Charizard's one of the most recognizable Pokemon of all time, and what if it wasn't just a character in a game or a TV show? What if it was an actual living being that you could feel, touch, smell, or even own? But to get there, let's start a little bit smaller. Charmander, a small lizard-like creature about the size of a house cat.
But baby, I want to keep it.
We're not keeping it.
And while granted, it has a very good temperament, I wouldn't keep this around any flammable furniture, or else you're gonna have couches that are charred, carpets that are singed, and if you're not careful... This is fine. But if you can manage to tame that, it will eventually evolve into a Charmeleon, which is a bit more aggressive than a Charmander. Imagine having a teenager that's like an apex predator, but can also breathe fire. Okay, so maybe not that much different than having a teenager. Which brings us back to Charizard, a flying reptile about the size of a human being. Good luck with that. If you owned one, you'd be the talk of your neighborhood. Or you'd be the most feared person in your neighborhood, I'm not exactly sure which. But it's not all doom and gloom. There are some upsides to owning a Charizard, if you know how to put it to use. Alright, here's a basic one. How about cooking? Charizard can produce the heat up to 3,000 degrees. I'd say that's plenty for any steaks that you have. Chicken, corn. You never have to run out of propane or anything like that ever again. Oh look, an ad spot. And honestly, this couldn't have come at a better time. I sit on my hiney literally all day long, and I need something that's going to support my spine, my butt, my back.
Don't talk to me, I'm on my scheduled break.
And unfortunately, this gaming chair just isn't doing it for me. And that's where FlexiSpot came in. They offered me the C7 Morpher, which is one of their most ergonomic chairs. And let me just say, this thing's nice. But their backrest is crazy. And basically what it does is it slides up and down your back to actually adjust to where your spine likes to rest. Along with superb lumbar support, which you can actually adjust with like inflatable little baggies in the back of the seat. It's actually really cool. You can adjust the seat depth, the seat cushion, which I have very sweaty butt. So having something that's mesh and allows it to breathe is a game changer. And the combination of this thing being able to recline and have a footrest that extends out, yeah, I'm gonna take some fat cat naps. And if you've been thinking about picking up a chair for a long time, now's the time to do it because I don't think they've turned off their Black Friday sales yet. No, those are still active on the website. Go take a look. They got lots of stuff. They got chairs, they got desks, they got lots of nice things. And if you want to try it out before you make the commitment, they have a 30-day return policy and a 10-year warranty. So you can rest easy knowing that you made the right purchase. And if you're interested, definitely use my link down in the description or the pinned comment. It's somewhere down there. And get FlexiSpot to send me a desk or something like that. That'd be really cool. Thank you, FlexiSpot. Bye. Well, how about this one? Transportation. We've seen it done in the show and the anime, but is this actually something that you would want to do? If we refer to the Pokedex entries, Charizard can fly at an altitude of 46,000 feet, which is survivable for the normal human being. But how fast is it? Are you going to be going at a snail's pace, or are you going to be going rocket ship speeds, which could also introduce its own set of hiccups? Well, have you ever owned a fighter jet? Seriously, let me explain. While we don't get an exact speed for what Charizard's capable of pulling off, we get a somewhat decent estimate with Charizard Y. And why do we care about Charizard Y? This isn't Charizard. Well, if you take a look at their speed stats, they're the same. So if we go with the assumption that whatever Charizard Y can pull off, regular Charizard can pull off, then you get fighter jet speeds, because the Pokedex entries, for whatever reason, say that Charizard Y has the maneuverability and speeds of a fighter jet, which is absolutely insane and mind-boggling if you think about it. And since you're going to own a lizard that's faster than a commercial jet, you're going to be saving yourself a ton of money whenever you go on overseas trips. Which is good, because you're going to need that money for something later. Alluding. Alright, but if a Charizard was real, how could it actually accomplish fire breathing? Like, is that even a realistic expectation we can have for a living creature? Well, kinda, and let me explain. See, if you take a look at the Bombardier Beetle, it can spray acidic acid at foes, and you take a look at a cow, it produces methane gas. Now, imagine for a moment that a snake or a lizard could produce a flammable venom that it could spit at its foes, and if it just so happened to evolve the means to ignite that flammable venomous sludge that comes out of its mouth, you would have a lizard that's technically fire breathing and could do it multiple times. But what would you do with such a fire breathing lizard? Well, I think it's a pretty nice home heater, honestly. I mean, think about it. It's cozy, it's sustainable, and if you can keep that shit under control, you could expect your heating bill to go down, I guess. Should I be breathing that in? Or how about even farming? And no, not in the way that you're thinking. Controlled burns are essential in farming and forest management, and a well-trained Charizard could perform prescribed burns. Holy alliteration. So instead of a whole entire team of fire drippers, you can just call in your local Charizard to do this stuff for you. But I wonder who would put out the flames. And genuinely, I could go in all day long about the benefits that Charizard would bring to our world. Like, imagine blizzards coming through your town and Charizard just clearing it out in a single instant, or bringing it to a water purifying plant. We'll call it that because I'm really bad with words today. But let's bring it back to the smaller scope. What would it look like for you and I if we owned a Charizard in our everyday average life? Well, there are some quirks that you would need to manage. Imagine owning a dog that had a wingspan of about 9 to 13 feet. That's roughly the size of an elephant if you stood it up from wingtip to wingtip. Like, that thing is big. That thing, where are you putting that guy? You're not letting him curl up on your feet at the end of the bed. I mean, I guess you could, but no, don't do that. You would need a specialized stable. You would need a reinforced roof. You would need permits that are thicker than Gym Leader Melody. Or how about this one? How do we feed a Charizard? I mean, that big boy's got to have an appetite, right? The closest thing that we have is a Komodo dragon to figure out how much Charizard would eat. And if you take a look at a Komodo dragon, those dudes can eat up to 80% of their body weight in a single sitting. That's not only a lot of money. Hello, puppy. That's not only a lot of money, you would go bankrupt trying to make sure that this Charizard doesn't get the munchies. Or would you? So a Komodo dragon doesn't eat 80% of its body weight every single day. The reason that they eat so much is because they don't know when they're going to get their next meal, which makes sense, you know, survival of the fittest and everything. So I think it's safe to assume that Charizard, even if it can eat 80% of its body weight in one sitting, probably not going to be doing that every single time it goes to eat. But how often do Komodo dragons actually eat when they do gorge themselves? They eat anywhere between 12 to 15 times per year, and I want to make the math a little bit simpler for myself, so let's just say once a month. And if you're paying for a Charizard's daily diet every single month, you scale it up, that's about a cow disappearing every single time you go to feed this guy. And at a market value of about $2,000 to $4,000, you're basically paying $24,000 to $48,000 every single time you want to feed this guy, per year, I should say. Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm just saying you probably need you money to keep up with that guy's diet. It's a lot.
Let's go get some food. Let's get you.
Alright, so feeding a Charizard's expensive as hell. Trying to home it is nearly impossible. We haven't even considered the fact, how are you going to tame this thing? I mean, think about it. Your cat, your dog, those have been bred down from wild leopards, wolves, over thousands and thousands of years. But Charizard is just literally, if you went into the middle of a jungle and picked up a tiger with a flamethrower, that's exactly what it'd be like to put a Charizard into your home. And even if you were a big enough lunatic to decide to capture this thing and were successful with it, do you really think it's going to respect you? I mean, this guy ignores anything that it doesn't seem is worthy. But if it thinks you're worthy, then you're gonna catch some hands. I mean, the Pokedex specifically says this thing flies around looking for fights, and if this thing finds you and it thinks that you are tough looking, it might throw a jab. I think that's least your concern, but it might throw a jab. But if Charizard were real, I genuinely think that you'd sooner find this thing in a zoo or a circus and not living inside of a Pokeball in the middle of your living room. But hey, if you decide to give it a go, let me know how that goes for you. Yeah, because I'm not trying to be some lizard food. I got better things to do with my life, like watch YouTube. Yeah.